welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 New Orleans. So thank you very much for being here today. If you are tuning in today, the guests that I have on were on in August as well too, so you can go back and check out that segment and check that segment out later if you would like. The guests that I have on today, I'm really excited. I had so many questions prepared for them. Super excited about it. So it's Gail and Mel Willis of Lucky Paranormal. So Lucky Paranormal is a paranormal investigative team based in Thunder Bay, Ontario. They operate with a high level of professionalism and expertise, aiming to assist individuals in understanding paranormal occurrences and strange phenomena using the state-of-the-art investigative tools. They are busy with investigations within the Thunder Bay and surrounding areas and have also traveled into the United States for investigations as well too. You may have seen them on CBC News, Rogers Cable, hosting public investigative events and charity events to support local businesses. So let's just bring them in. Thanks for being here, guys.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
It's nice to see you guys again. And I know this was last minute. I tossed this at you really last minute. So thank you for making the time to hang out with me.
No worries. Always a pleasure to speak with you, Kerrilynn.
Thanks. How you guys been?
Good. Very busy. We are doing all kinds of stuff on paranormal type things and organizing different events and just getting ready for 2024. I think it's going to be a big year for us.
I think 2024 is going to be a very big year all the way around, right? Especially within the paranormal community. It seems like more people coming together. So those who are playing nice in the sandbox are finding each other, and great things are coming from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We're excited.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Howie. Thanks for being here. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, I find even for myself too, like it's the first time in a number of years where it felt okay to put so much on my calendar, like to pre-plan and have all of that on the calendar and things to look forward to.
And I don't think that we're alone. I've heard a lot of friends and family saying this January has been like crazy busy for everybody. I don't know if it's in the stars or what's happening.
Hi, Sandy. Thanks for being here. I don't know, but it feels exciting. Like it feels like there's lots of fun things to look forward to, right? Yeah. And I don't know what I did, but like my March is not good. Like when we think March Madness, that term March Madness, I must have been mad because now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm going to be, I don't know what I'm going to be by April 1st. Really tired. Yeah, I can be really tired when April hits, and then it feels like it's all balanced out when it's all balanced out from there. Yeah. But I think that's what happens, right? You get excited and you're like, oh, sure, I can do that. You just get excited about all the possibilities of things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you tell me about some of the, last time we chatted was August, what you guys have been up to paranormal wise, like investigations, if you've been doing anything exciting?
It's been a little bit quiet. We've been doing all the behind the scenes, and then we thought it was going to be quiet for February, and we have three investigations already set up. Like it all just came at once. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess we're back at it. Yeah, full steam. So
fun.
Never a dull moment, that's for sure.
So for those people who are just getting to know you, maybe they have not connected with you before, can you give us a little bit of background about yourselves individually and Lucky Paranormal?
Sure. You want me to go first?
You can start. Yeah.
So Mel and I have been doing the paranormal for, I guess, 2 years. Mel's been doing it a lot longer than I have. Drew me into it. I mean, in terms of paranormal investigating, but I've been into like tarot card reading since my 20s, so over 20 years. I've always been interested in that sort of thing. But about 2 years ago, Mel was doing investigation with some people, and I was like, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I'm going to this cemetery at 10 p.m. tonight, and I'm meeting these people. And I'm like, so maybe I'll just join you, and I'm going to film what you guys are doing, because I like kind of doing that film and creative stuff. So I went along with some of their investigations, and I started filming, and that's how we started doing our YouTube channel, and doing all that kind of stuff. So I sort of got rolled into doing that, and now I really enjoy paranormal investigating. I find it very fascinating. And
it's not a cheap hobby.
No,
like you have to be very passionate about it to invest your time and energy and the research, the review, the equipment, the physical aspect of it as well too. And the more that you do, I think that it takes a toll emotionally and physically when you're going to certain places. How you're interacting with the energies of the places.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also really like to travel, so then you have to filter that in, and how much does that cost? And yeah, it's an expensive hobby, but
we love it.
Yeah, because there's just a sense of wonder to it. Like there's stories to be found. Like that's how I look at it. There's these stories, fascinating stories behind the history of places, because I think that we have a shared love for historical places, historical architecture, and that. Is that correct to assume?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. And I think that also just learning the background history is interesting, because we go around Thunder Bay and we're thinking, it's not that historical. There's not too much going on. But then when we start looking into things and like understanding, where all these buildings and like when they came up, the stories of the building, and you start learning all these new things. I find that really fascinating. So, and then connecting it with your paranormal investigation or your experience in that space. And I think that we're doing more of that as we go along.
Mm-hmm. We've definitely taken a turn lately of more like the historical things that we're learning about places, and then trying to put the story together is how we've changed in the last couple months. Is what's the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you find, depending on the people that are participating, like different layers of the story reveal themselves when they want to, and depending on who it is that's asking the questions?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that we have a different, not bad, but I think that we have just a way that we go about investigating, which is gentle and respectful. So we're not like poking or trying to make something happen. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If spirits or any entity that is there that does not want to reach out and communicate, then we let it be. Like we don't try to make something happen. We're just asking questions and seeing if anybody wants to talk. Yeah. So that's how we always approached it.
That was actually one of the questions I had written down, was how do you approach your investigations, right? Do you research before or after?
After.
A little bit before sometimes.
Sometimes.
And then we see like what we catch on the equipment, and then see if we can find history on that. And then we really enjoy the second time we get to go to a place with the knowledge to see if we can get the whole story.
Michelle is just asking, any suggestions on finding groups or people locally that might want to dabble in investigating?
We've met a couple people from our group, like at our events.
Yeah,
is where we've kind of collected some people. And actually, one of the new people in our team, we actually met them in Michigan at the Paracon.
Isn't that wild, eh?
It's like, oh, I'm from Thunder Bay. I'm like, what? I'm like, we're from Thunder Bay.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I found it difficult. I live in Southern Ontario, and I moved at the time. Before I moved here, I was living in Alberta, and had a lot of, stuff was happening intuitively for me. And so I had reached out to a number of paranormal groups. And this is going to be, oh my goodness, 23 years ago. So it's been a while. So 23 years ago, but groups did not want me participating because I was saying that I was able to connect with the other side. So they didn't want mediums as part of their paranormal groups. And I remember like just being so upset because I wanted to learn about the equipment and just be part of a community. And there was a group that was actually, Michelle, like closer towards you. It was a group near Barrie. And they were kind. I never got the opportunity because they were 2 hours away and I had small children. So trying to get there. But I find like definitely 20 years, there's been growth within that community where it's much more inclusive than what it was. I still like, for someone that can tap into the other side, there's more.
Yeah. And I think it's with any sort of group or like friend group, even like trying to find the right people or like the right connections that sort of fit with everybody in the group. And I think that's the importance. So just stay open if you're looking for a group to investigate with. Stay open, and if it feels right, it will happen. If it doesn't feel too good, then just find the right people that you fit in with.
And finding like-minded people. So, and it's about everyone can showcase different strengths. Some people like the techie stuff. Some people like the review parts. I don't know who does, but really, but
I do.
Do you really?
That is my favorite part.
That used to be me, and I was like I really like putting movies together, and I do like the video editing, but it takes so much time, like hours upon hours and months to put something together. And so Mel started doing it, and now she's found the love.
Oh, because every time I hear like some evidence, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so it's almost like I get to relive it again.
Right.
Oh,
so I actually really enjoy doing that part.
Because you really do have to, if you take so much time with your investigation, you're going to need that much time to do your review, right?
Yes.
So
even more time. It's almost like triple the time because you're going over and over things.
Yeah, and then you get other people to listen to it, and then what do you hear? And then you got to listen again and make sure you're on the same page.
Right.
When we're talking about groups as well too, and trying to find groups, I think giving yourself permission to know that there's going to be an ebb and flow and shifts and changes depending. So, I mean, especially if you're just getting to know each other, that there's no written rules. There's no written ethical rules in investigating. There's no like guidebook that here's, everybody's got their own personal moral compass and belief systems, which are all different. So, being okay to have those boundaries and what works, because we have to feel safe because we're putting ourselves in vulnerable positions.
Yeah. Yeah,
for sure.
And the other thing also, just to add to that, is that the paranormal community is so large. Don't give up. There's going to be your tribe. So just keep going to Paracons is really a great way to meet like-minded people
or local events.
And
check online and see if there's any local events that you can go to, because we've met some really great people in Winnipeg. We met them at the Palmer House in Minnesota. So
so you never know who's going to be where.
Exactly.
So just don't give up, and your tribe will be there. Just keep going. It's meant to happen.
And putting it out there, right? Putting it out there that and sometimes you don't find the group because you're the one that's meant to start the group.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just sort of reading through this 1 second. Thank you, Allie. Thank you for being here, and thanks for trying to support. I need her to hear me. So we're not going to be able to hear you. But if you write comments, we'll be able to read the comments. I'm the snack person in our group too. We may have talked about this in the last segment.
We have a snack person in our group.
Oh,
do.
that's perfect. Yeah,
It's
there's got to be
yeah,
one snack person or the coffee run person, because again, I think people don't necessarily understand that it is. You could sit there for a very long time with nothing happening.
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or I find that if I'm in an active place for a couple hours, that all of a sudden I'm exhausted, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need a break.
Yeah. It can be draining sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm. Kel, I'm not sure what the questions are. I'm really sorry if there's a level of frustration that's happening. If you can hear us, that's what's meant to happen. But we can't hear any of the live listeners that are commenting. We can only see the questions, and so there's no speakers that are muted or anything like that, because it's not set up as a meeting where everybody's participating, where we can hear everybody. I had a question for you guys. Do you feel like locations call out to us? Do you feel like locations?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
do you?
sometimes. Like we'll go. There's a particular bar that's sort of out in the country, and every once in a while we're like, let's go there for a drink. Let's go there. Sadly, we are not allowed to investigate there, but it really has drawn us there.
So do you think on an intuitive level you could tap into it and see if there's stuff that's coming through that's just needing to be heard, and then the pull will stop?
I'm
I'm not sure. And that's an interesting one. It's there's always those questions, right? Of
Yeah.
what's happening. But I do feel like some locations will draw us there. Maybe we don't realize that we're being drawn, but then when we get there, there's a message that needs to be told and that we need to hear and maybe share that message.
That happened one time.
What?
We were Carol in our group. She's like, let's go on this trail, and so we're like, okay. So we're walking down the trail, and she's like, we're talking, we're trying to like pick up stuff in the forest and everything, and then all of a sudden we all look up and we're like at the psychiatric hospital. We're like, how did we end up here again?
Yeah.
Because like it's like a very active place, and so we walked over to like the vent, and there was like a little flaps on the vent, and so I'm standing there, and all of a sudden the vents open from the inside and slam shut, and open and slam, and I ran.
It's an abandoned building.
There's nothing in there.
Abandoned hospital.
Yeah, that's the first
Not
time.
a breeze.
No,
Not
it just came from the inside.
Yeah.
Did you? So, yeah, that's fabulous. And you ran?
I did.
Mel ran, yeah.
And I've never ran before. But it's on our Facebook page, on our Facebook group. I think it's pinned to the top.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then Gail's like, go back. I'm like,
Oh my gosh. You know what, guys? You're like tapping into all the questions that I had for you, because I think I wrote that down too. Is there an aspect of paranormal investigations that scares you where it might be a hard nope? Yeah, no. Where
I don't think any is, well, evil.
Yeah, maybe like
Negative
But
is
define evil, because
right.
very, okay, maybe it wasn't, well, yeah, it was evil because it was like we went to a place where there was witchcraft and sacrifices and Satanism stuff. And so there was.
But we didn't go away from it. We
Yeah.
actually went to see it. So it wasn't
I
like
did.
we were like, no, we're not going to do that.
Right, until we
did do it.
got the voice that was extremely creepy. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we didn't get quite like later. It always happens like we don't really realize it's going on sometimes. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But then when we watch the footage back, then we realize what actually was going on that we did not see and we did not hear. And maybe that's the part where I'm a little bit frightened, as because I can't see or hear what's going on, but I know something might be going on.
right.
And
I have a friend who's the hard no with dolls. Like if there's a doll, anything like doll related, she's like, that's a hard pass. she's a no. I don't know if there's a hard no or things that I tend to go towards, oh, you growling at me now? Okay. And if I go, why are you growling at me?
Yeah.
What's all this about? I don't know.
I don't think that like there's anything that would stop us going somewhere. Maybe a
No.
morgue. Maybe going into a morgue, I might be a bit frightened, but all
Oh,
other
I'm
places-
all in.
You're all in?
I would go to a morgue for sure.
We actually met.
I would lay down inside one of those like
Oh,
coolers. I've been in
That
gross
might be too much for
bathtub.
me.
I was in a really gross bathtub once. Closed my eyes and sat right inside it.
Oh,
Just,
man.
okay. And it was one of those ones where they would put the ice in it.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Like the shock
Oh.
therapy sort of idea.
Yeah. Jennifer, I know Jennifer, she's a nurse and she's saying hospitals are the worst. So let me just sort of catch up here, guys. Hang on a second. Cal, I'm really sorry that you can't hear us. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what to say about that. Cheryl is just asking, what are the senses you have when you feel something icky? And again, I think our ick factor level is different for each one of us, right? Depending on our personal beliefs and experiences and past traumas or whatever, right? Like woke up with a spider falling on your face, so now you have a fear of spiders. So icky places could just be if there's spiders, like you just, anyway.
So if it's like a haunted place, I find that it's my solar plexus that I can feel it. I'm like, oh, something's going on here.
Can you share for people who don't know where their solar plexus are, just for the people that that may not? So right where your belly button's at.
Yes. So that seems to be
Where's your solar plexus?
right there, like kind of
By your ribs. At the
like
bottom of
at the
your ribs?
bottom of your ribs, not your belly, like in between that little area there.
In between your ribs and your belly button.
Yes.
That's the solar plexus. I guess that's where I feel it too. Sometimes I feel a little bit nauseous, or my stomach is like turning, where I'm like, ooh, something's happening here. That's where
And it's hard to explain too if the energy will feel different in different places. Like it feels thick or heavy. There's a very big difference. Like when you, Cheryl, if you walk into a room where somebody has been arguing and fighting, you can tell. The air just has that feel to it. So when you're doing a paranormal investigation, different rooms have different feels depending on what experiences were happening, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Jennifer's just sharing. I have felt pure evil at the hospital I was working at. I was on a break and I felt it. It was the only time in my life I have felt anything like that. Jennifer's pretty intuitive as well too. Sorry. Thank you everybody for just being patient. We're going to try to catch up with some of these. Alia say, Kerrilynn, Lucky Print, have you ever met someone by chance and then investigate someplace that had or has a connection to that person? Almost like they were drawn to you for a reason. Oh, yes. I have a great story about that, actually. Do you guys?
Yeah. Actually, we went to Pentatanguishene. Do you know where that is?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of where,
like north
of Toronto,
north of Barrie, or over the Barrie.
Yeah, and so we did an investigation there, and then we had to fly home. And that night we had an investigation at the library to do, and I don't even know how. I think the spirit box kept saying Charles, Carl, Charles, Carl. We're like, are you from the Beck house? And then like all the lights were going off, and we're like, you followed us here.
Yeah. So not a physical person followed us.
No, a spirit followed us home.
The spirit from Pentatanguishene Mansion followed us to our hometown and presented himself at our library event with several other people in the room.
And we're kind of like, I'm like, okay, this is different.
But I think, like, if we believe that or understand that we are all collectively connected, right? Why can't they? Why can't they show up at other places?
Right. So what's your story?
Oh, so I think I've shared it on I think I've shared it a couple of times. here on the show. So I had been going towards the Kingston area doing the Dining with the Dead events and then staying and doing individual sessions for people for a number of years. And on my downtime, in between times, I would take the historic highway from Picton to Kingston along the river. And I would just stop at the historical plaques, or I would follow like historical plaque this way. So I would like turn left and just follow and see what I would find, right? And I came to the old Hay Bay Church. And when I got out, these two people who were on the show just before Christmas, actually, had come out, and it was the minister, and they were caretakers of the church for that time period. So it had a historical background to it, and they were so open. They just let me, wander through the church, and they wrote down all the intuitive stuff that I was getting. And they brought up a paranormal investigator, the original minister, like the person in spirit, was sharing that somebody had investigated recently that was smoking on the property, and he smelled really bad of cigarettes, and he did not want that guy in the church anymore.
Oh, wow.
Like if he was going to be smoking. So they changed, like they're not allowed to smoke on the property at all anymore. They changed the rules because they were being respectful to this minister. And then a year later, I got to meet that investigator, and we did some investigations together, and he sadly passed away in this last year. And I went back to Old Hay Bay Church this fall and did an EVP session. And I don't know if Darren's on it or not, because I haven't had the emotional I haven't felt ready to listen to see if Darren answered me back, but I went back there to see if he would respond to me, because that's where it all began, right? And that's why I think like places can call to us for a reason, like to connect us to somebody else as well too, right? In the physical and in spirit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Jennifer is just saying, "Ooh, I've been in enough morgues in my life."
Actually, recently, we met someone, a young girl who.
Well, she's a lady.
She's a lady, I guess. Well, I mean, she's younger than me, I'm sure, but she works in the morgue. She does the makeup, and I thought that was just fascinating.
I used to do hair for a living, and I always wanted to do hair for in the morgue. I would have done that.
Yeah,
for sure.
She really enjoys doing that too.
Yeah. I had a lot of questions.
We had a lot of questions when we met her. Hi, Grant.
Hi, Grant.
Yeah. Have you guys had the opportunity to meet Grant? Grant has been on the show a couple of times. Yeah.
We haven't met Grant at the blue elephant, I think.
I think it was in Simcoe.
Yes.
We were really.
That's so good.
We were very tired and
extremely tired.
We're on a really long trip, and
right.
It was our last. We went down to Gettysburg and stopped into, I think it was Simcoe, and met Tops there. So it was fantastic, and it was good to catch up with other paranormal investigators.
Right. That's awesome. Jennifer is also sharing, yep, I had my horrible experience in the anteroom of the old nursery. There was a bed there, and I had gone there for my break. Every cell in my body said I had to get up and run.
Oh, wow.
So I tend to lean into, like, sometimes those spirits that feel angry are frustrated because they've not been heard. Right. So, sometimes you have to lean in a little bit just to double check and then make your decision on where you're moving from that point.
I feel like as a team, we back up a few steps and then go back in, Because at first it does catch you off guard because we're not quite used to it. And then it's like, okay, let's go back.
Yeah. Or just sit there for a bit. Just to kind of wait a little longer, because sometimes it takes a bit more time. And that's why we like to go back to investigate the same location several times, not just one time.
I find that the spirits can also become friends with you, or they get used to you. So the interaction is different. And then they also lead you to other layers of the story, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's just fascinating. I don't think that we'll ever understand or learn all of it.
No, but it's nice to try.
Oh yeah. Having that sense of wonder. I look at it like Christmas every day feels like Christmas for me. I wonder what's going to happen today. I think with investigations, it's that way too. Like I realized that I've had this ability from the time I was a kid, but I'm still learning. Like I'm still learning about my own gifts. I'm still learning about the other side. There's so much that I don't know, that the opportunities are exciting to me to be able to understand more, right? And then when we get to be with like-minded community, it's fun. It's good.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of having the paranormal community, because we all learn off each other and we all have different skills to bring to the table. And I think that's just wonderful. It's a fantastic, positive community that I feel like we all belong to. So.
Sandy is just sharing, I can go to the morgue, but once I was at a barn sale and I felt so sick. I felt fear, etc. And I had to leave. On the way out, I saw an old sign hidden by the trees. Oh, an abattoir. The barn used to be an abattoir. Oh. Yep, that would make you feel sick.
Yep.
For sure, that would make you feel sick. And it's hard when you're when you are empathic enough and you're feeling those things physically. That's where you get really tired, for sure too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to be able to go with the flow a little bit, but I had a whole bunch of questions pop in like just before we were starting. And I was thinking about intuition and paranormal investigations. And so I just wondered if you're comfortable sharing those sorts of things. People, because I've seen it a number of times, so I just wondered what your thoughts were about it. People go on investigations and then they have the paranormal experience that is unexplainable. Like they can't debunk it. It's definitely something that's weird. So yeah, we're gonna say, this is an experience. But then people will talk to their spirit guides and ask for a sign, or their loved ones that are on the other side, if they can show you some direction or guidance, and then you immediately debunk it and ask for a signier sign. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so they can go on location and yep, that's something. And then in your daily life go, yeah, no, I need the burning bush.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't find I do that, actually.
I just wondered if you've seen it, or if you do it, or witnessed it. I've witnessed it quite a bit, actually.
When if I put it out there, like for a sign from my mom, right? If it's very small, I'm like, yes, that's my mom. Or there was one time when for some reason my car went into reverse and I wasn't quite in it. I was like scraping the windows and all of a sudden it's rolling down the driveway.
That's a burning bush sign. That's not even a little sign of your car shifting gears.
So I jumped in the car and I stopped the car. I'm frantic. I'm like horrified and I'm crying and I'm walking to get to the house and I look down and there's a dime in the snow. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you for saving me.
That is wild.
I had no questions that somebody put the dime there, to let me know that they had a hand in helping me.
Yeah. And I find signs, especially with dimes, it just really needs to be weird. Like it's weird, and then for sure it's a sign. Like, yeah. I'd say that if you find a dime in a Walmart parking lot, you just got lucky. Like that's not necessarily a sign. It's more like making your bed and going to work and coming home and pulling the sheets back, and there's a dime in the sheets, and it shouldn't be there. It's got to be weird.
Yeah.
Hi, Diane. Thank you for joining us.
Pardon? My car was actually parked where the dime actually was.
That is just bizarre.
In the fresh snow, I was like, okay, there's no debunking that.
I had a washer, like a metal washer, just that round ring. I heard a metal ting on the floor last week. I was having an emotional moment, so maybe it was a little psychokinesis. I don't know what it was, but I heard the ting hit the floor when I was crying, and then I looked down and there's this washer in the middle of the kitchen floor. Like,
Oh, wow.
See, that's weird. That's a sign.
Yeah, right? Wash your face, pull on your big girl panties, and get on with it. Stop your crying. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun when you get those signs. And I not that I want to call people out, but I mean, when you're in a team, there should be that comfort level as well too, in holding people accountable, like that we can hold each other accountable and have those conversations to support each other in order for all of us to do the best that we can when we are there for the location, a client, if it's for a client as well too, right? And the people in spirit. I put a lot of emphasis on that we're there for the people in spirit too, right? If they are needing us to do something for them, that we have those tools to be able to support or help.
Yeah, exactly.
Jennifer, is it something to do with your comfortable with your loved ones? Sorry, I'll read that out loud. I'm mumbling. Sorry, everyone. Jennifer is just asking, is it something to do with your comfort level? You're comfortable with your loved ones in spirit, so you want more signing your signs. That could very well be true too, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we ask for our closest loved one to give us a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Not always other spirits give us a sign, other than like asking to communicate. But we kind of drawn to mom, give me a sign.
Mm-hmm. But then if we're in a location, actually, we were at a location a couple weeks back, and there's like a DJ booth, and there's like a dance floor and everything, and we're like, hey, what did somebody say? Oh, the spirit box says nobody knows. And then Carol starts singing, nobody knows the troll. and then we're like, hey, do you want to dance? And we had the tripwire on the dance floor. Every single light just blasted on. And it was like, oh. Like you kind of like, because you're in the moment, and then you're like, oh, someone's giving you a sign. Hello, I'm here talking to you.
Yeah. And they want to dance. So did you dance?
No, because we were like, oh my God. All four of us were like, I don't know what to do with that.
You dance.
Next time we go there, I'll dance.
Yeah, we're going there.
Yeah, get some John Travolta moves going. It's awesome. Diane is just sharing, I found a one cent in my kitchen that had a date, 1884.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's wild. Do you guys have specific equipment that's your go-to that you like using more than other equipment, or new equipment that you're excited to figure out and test and play with?
So we have this member on our team who is building equipment for us.
Oh, that's awesome. You may not want to share the secret then. Like,
no,
you may want to hang on to it.
Either.
Yeah, he's not sharing the secret either. But
he's like, I'm like, what are you building? He's like, well, you'll see. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, 2 days later, I just ordered a thingamajig for the thingamabob. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
He's built an SLS.
Yeah, he's fixed 3 spirit boxes of mine. I don't know what's going on with my spirit boxes. They seem to be breaking, which is one of my favorite tools. Right. I like the voice recorder.
Yeah, voice recorders.
And the tripwire, we're really enjoying that.
Mm-hmm. And mine is the iPhone. I use my iPhone for everything.
Really, hey?
Yeah.
So just different apps on your phone?
No, I videotape. So I'm taping everything.
Videotape from your phone.
And then I catch a lot of EVPs on there, or like things in the background that's happening that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
So
Because when we first went to the restaurant before the whole dancing and the light thing, we were at a table talking about the DJ booth, and you could hear a little boy say, "Let's go dancing" on Gail's video. But at the time, we didn't hear it, so we just carried on and, went to the dance floor.
yeah, so that's one of the stories that we're developing.
Yeah.
We go there often now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Particular restaurant owner, yeah.
And I think they get comfortable, right? Like where you become friends. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I have, I like all of it, but I don't know if I have a particular piece of equipment that I enjoy using more than others. One of my best friends that I do investigations with, and my sister, who I drag into everything with, she's so good that she just, she'll tag along, but my mom always sends us one, make sure that you're protecting your sister. I'm like, okay. It hasn't changed from the time we were little, but we always do like a seance at Christmas time. And because I had been so sick, and my sister too, my sister was dreadfully sick over the holidays. We didn't get together like the way that we normally do. And so we just did our holiday seance, the three of us, this past weekend. And so I'll channel and we'll use a spirit board and we have the equipment and stuff, but everything died. Like everything, the tripwire died, the recorders, the batteries drained, the GoPro, the camcorder, every single piece of equipment, REM pod, and I always put brand new batteries and everything, regardless if it's at home or if we're going out, and it all just like died.
Oh my.
Wow.
It was crazy.
A special location, or this was like your family home, or
this room right here? We were hanging out here, and it all died. It all died. It was absolutely wild. So I think, and it wasn't even like, sometimes we get a lot of activity that happens when I do the seances in here, but I don't know if it was a lot of energy. So we were waiting for something. I kept asking, you can't really see it, but I have like this battery candle chandelier thing that hangs from the ceiling because we don't have lights in the ceiling here because it's an older home. And I'm like, make it spin. I want it just to go around in circles, please. And yeah, that didn't happen. But all the equipment, one after another.
Wow. So it's almost like they were trying to make it spin.
They're like, we'll grab this energy and we'll take this one. We'll take,
yeah. When I do the Dining with the Dead events, I'm always like secretly, when people are eating their dinner and I'm waiting to go out to start sharing messages, like, let somebody's like glass move across the table. Like, you want all the lights to shut off and turn back on again. You like that interaction somehow, right? And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, that's super cool that you guys are amping up, but like, I don't know. So I guess they don't want to be the entertainment monkeys either, right? Like, we're always asking them, can you show this again or do more? And
right.
Here's your big stuff. Maybe they were just saying they didn't want to play either, so they just kept shutting all the equipment off.
We'll show her.
Yeah. Jennifer is just sharing, KL, I was blown away when I used your Estes headphones at our seance. Also, the spirit board with a planchette was incredible when the planchette moves, and it was my brother. Yeah, we had a great seance when you were here for the seance. A lot, like lots of weird. There was another family that, friends actually, sorry, but it was chosen family that was coming through for them. And it looked like part of the ceiling was the galaxy. Like part of the ceiling had this movement and glitter to it, like you were looking up at stars.
Wow.
And it was dark in here. So like, I think they can, right? They can do all kinds of stuff. That was a burning bush moment. That was like, whoa. That was definitely a whoa moment for sure.
So I have a question for you, Kerry.
Yeah.
Have you ever done like remote viewing? I've recently watched someone explain that to me, and I'm just curious if you ever done that remotely.
Yeah, remote viewing happens almost in every session that I do with clients too.
Okay.
Like I have a structure that I like to do when I'm doing sessions. So I want them to show me how they've passed. So I'll feel all that rows of children or siblings, things that they see going on that they're happy about, worried about, guidance if they've got guidance. Then I always ask them to show me if they're hanging out with the clients, if they're hanging out with them and where are they hanging out? What does that look like? And if they're giving them signs and symbols. So at some point, they'll show me what that person's house looks like or what the cottage looks like, or they'll pull me to those places. Remote viewing plays a very big part for me.
Oh, wow.
And to, I think, like when I was working with that investigative team from the Kingston area, I was able to tap into places before knowing what those places were even going to be.
Yeah.
And then that helped them. So I didn't necessarily have to be with them to investigate, that I could tap in from here.
Wow, that's fascinating. I find that just very, very fascinating.
It's funny when I'm doing the Dining with the Dead events and I start doing that where they're showing me locations and what a house looks like. And if I'm moving through the house and I'm like, I've got my eyes closed and I'm like, okay, so I'm turning this way and this is what I'm seeing. And I'm like moving through somebody's house and I'm like, I promise I won't creep you later. Like, just like in this moment, this is what we're doing, right? So yeah, there's a little bit of voyeurism, I suppose, that happens when you're doing it. But I mean, for good, right? Like if lots of good can come from doing remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to have a fun question too, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch like paranormal movies and stuff like that? Like,
Gail's terrified.
I'm scared of horror movies. I won't really like the scary ones, and not for me.
right. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be horror, but I was thinking like Sixth Sense, but I guess that's kind of a horror movie. But I watch Sixth Sense every year.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I cry. I was like, oh, I feel you. I feel this. I feel that. So there's the connection. But you know what I was also thinking too, adults watch cartoons and animated movies too, but Paranormal.
Oh yeah, those are good movies.
Right.
I'm not scared of those.
Paranormal. It's just so fun. Like,
there's a movie I watch once a year. It's called The Watcher in the Woods. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but I'm going to write it down right now so that I can look it up later. What kind of movie is it?
It's a Disney movie, and it's about a seance, and something goes wrong, and it's just like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I just get so frustrated with seance movies and Ouija movies. I'm like, let's just keep feeding the fear. Let's just keep adding energy to that.
It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
Who's in it? Like
I think
Betty Davis or something weird, like old.
that.
Betty Davis is in it?
It's old, yeah.
I don't know if it's Betty Davis.
It's from the 60s, I think. Now I'm going to have to go Google it.
Yeah, we're going to
see
Google
where
it
it's
after
from.
that. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Anybody listening know that movie? You stick it in the chat. If you're participating in the chat, got a paranormal movie that you want to recommend? I just resonated. I resonated with that movie. What is his name? Haley Joe Osborne, like who played the little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really resonated. And it was so funny. Like anyway, I just knew right away, Bruce Willis is dead right from the start. Oh, that's a dead therapist there. I've had a dead therapist standing in my doorway waiting for me to get up in the morning. Osment. Thank you, Allie. Haley Joe Osment. Thank you, Thank you, Allie. Yeah, I want to come back to Linda, I love that movie. I do too. I love that movie, but it definitely
Have you seen The Others?
Yeah, I
With
loved that
Nicole
movie
Kidman.
too. I loved
I
that
like
whole
that.
twist. Yeah.
That whole twist, right? I think that's really interesting too, like people being on different dimensions. Yeah,
And it's
really interesting.
I had a conversation with somebody today whose little guy can see people that are crossed over. He's just little, 5.
Oh, wow.
And he's trying to explain or understand where are they, right? So, trying to find the language to give to them to understand what that other side is or where it's connected, because it's at like layers that are just over top of us, right?
Right.
Yeah, I see dead people for sure. Burnt Offerings. I've not seen that either. Is that a movie that you guys have seen?
No, but it sounds familiar. Burnt Offerings. I'll have to write that one too. Burnt Offerings.
The places that you investigate, is it kind of a mix of people reaching out to you, or are you researching places that you are pulled to investigate? How does the team decide where you go?
We have had people come and ask us. Like we do get emails asking if we do house investigations, which we do. We do house investigations as well. We usually do sort of like an intake a little bit, kind of meet the person and kind of get the background information before we do a full investigation. But most of the time it's us reaching out to different well-known haunted locations. Sometimes people will have a story or staff will come and tell us about it. And so we'll do investigation that way. So recently we've had someone reach out that they are starting a new business in a historical building in Thunder Bay. And it's like, I think there's some weird things going on. And Mel had a friend who worked in the building. She's like, oh yeah, there's weird stuff. So we're going to go and investigate that place.
Right.
So that's something new. It's a lot of times the word of mouth.
If they are renovating to get ready, right? That just seems to stir things up.
And that's what she's doing. She's renovating with her new business. And so that's how things kind of got stirred up. And so she's asked us to come in.
Do you find, like, do you introduce, like, I was always like, so that owner of that building is going in, if there are spirits there, the spirits, that's their home. Like if we think about the movie The Others, right? Like they're there, so that person that's coming in doesn't belong there. So I'm like, anytime I go in, hey, my name's Kerrilynn, just here to chat. Just want to introduce myself. We're just going to ask questions, not going to be, mean. So I wonder, if people were forward thinking when they were going into a space, even if they knew if there were spirits or not, and just sort of set your intention if that would change some of the, activity. I'm here to play nice. Here's some rules.
And that's how we approach it when we go into new locations. We're like, hi, I'm Gail. This is Mel. We're just here to talk to you and see if you're willing to communicate with us. And then we've also gone into different people's houses and we've sort of recommended them have that communication and that conversation with the spirits that are there, just to kind of, have more relaxed atmosphere and kind of, share who they are. And
that it's okay to share space.
Yeah.
Here's how we can do this, right?
Right. Yeah.
And sharing space.
Exactly.
Do you find, have you run into, if it's a business and even in a historical building, but I suppose it could happen, it happens in residential as well too, if there's traumas that happen within the area that just seems to gravitate to a different place, or there's a spirit that pulls other spirits in, like sometimes it's not even connected to that specific building, but pulled in from somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, sometimes I feel like when we do go to a location, we get activity because they know we're going there and they just sort of congregate until we get there.
Yeah. I have gone like on an investigation where it feels you can see them as you're approaching, where it looks like
Yeah. Well, here she
they're like
comes.
getting and then it becomes a game of hide and seek. Like once you're there, because they're wanting to engage, but kind of like on their terms, and they think like I know the one investigation that we did. We would whistle, they would whistle back, but it would be from a different floor on the opposite end. So then we go down to that end and do it again, and it would be over where we were prior. Like it was like they wanted us to play or chase, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we think back to what we have been talking about earlier about heavy or icky, my friend Jody, who I was talking about, we did the seance over on the weekend. We do a lot of investigations with pioneer cemeteries. We decided, like, I wanted to do a pioneer cemetery crawl, is what I've called it. So every summer we're doing this pioneer cemetery crawl and investigating the pioneer cemeteries. And it just felt, she just kept getting the words on the spirit box that kept leading her away from me. So then she was going to be separate on her own, and she kept feeling like she needed to go. And then I got my hackles went up, and it didn't feel right. And then all of a sudden she felt super nauseous, and it just went sideways. So I think that, that wasn't a good one. That was like paying attention, like they were trying to separate us and pull us in a different direction for a different reason, right?
Right.
Yeah. We had an experience similar to that when we were in a forest in a haunted location here, and there were little kids giggling, and everyone I was with was excited about these little kids giggling in the forest. And I just stopped dead. I'm like, that's not a kid. And I I'm like, where's the river? And I could hear it, and I just like went right through the bush. I'm like, get out of here, guys. Like, it's not what you're thinking it is.
Yeah. Little children, like giggles like that is usually something.
And it was something.
That's funny. So my friend Jody and I, at one of the cemeteries that we went to, I could see, I said, there's a little girl over there. And I'm like, she's a legit girl. She's not like, she's not something pretending to be a little girl. She's a legit little girl. And, she showed me like it was a farming accident and all that kind of stuff there was. And, I mean, for me, I don't know for you guys, but it feels different. Like when we're talking about lower and lighter as well too, it feels almost like slogging through mud when it's heavy or trying to be deceitful in some way about what they are. And when it's lighter, it just flows fast and it feels different, like electric in a good way.
Yes.
Oh, Cheryl, I'll get to your question in a second, Cheryl. Sorry about that. Cindy is asking, how is it that people that stay over at our house all say they feel a dark, heavy, spooky feeling? I don't feel it like they do. They feel and see a dark figure. Cindy is just saying, don't give me the spookies. Again, it's kind of, we can give you some suggestions to what we think, but we can't give you a specific answer. Do you guys want to approach that? No?
We're kind of in the same boat, because I went to see the psychic, and she's like, oh, there's a gentleman in your house, and he's mad where the fridge is, and she had a whole dialogue, and I'm like, my house? Where? I'm like, she's like, it's so obvious. I'm like, well, I live there, and like I do this, and I'm like, no, that's like, there's like a barricade. I can't see it, probably because I don't want it in my house. You know, so I have, maybe she perhaps has a barricade that, no, I'm not looking at that. That makes it real. Yeah. Right.
And that's what I see too. Everybody's on a different place, or that spirit may not want to present to you as well too. That spirit may be choosing to present to other people. And dark figures is a whole other conversation, right? Like, is it a shadow figure that because shadow figures can be different things.
Mm.
But if your personality hasn't changed, if you're not feeling as irritable, if there's, not mental health issues as well too, like there's all kinds of different factors with some of these experiences.
Yeah.
Medications, physical illness, there's all kinds of stuff. Cheryl is just asking, have you all investigated together? I can't remember from the last time.
We haven't met in person yet.
Not yet, but we're going to. It is coming soon. Do you want to? You can share.
Yeah. Want to share?
Yeah. So in October, Kerrilynn is joining us here in Thunder Bay, Ontario, for Lake Superior Paracon. We are so excited for having everybody come up and join us. We have a great speaker lineup. Kerrilynn is also speaking. No, you're not speaking. You are doing a workshop on the Sunday, but it's sort of like a weekend event. So it's October 5th is the main day, and then we have a VIP night on the Friday. And then Kerrilynn is doing her Spirits and Sweets on Sunday.
And the VIP is in the restaurant where the DJ and the lights go off, and we're having all these experiences.
Yes.
So we're very excited to have our meet and greet there.
Yeah. So we're having the VIP meet and greet in the haunted location, and the Paracon itself is also in a haunted hotel. So super excited. Yeah.
And can we, because we were talking about snacks and we were talking about all of those things. And prior to the show starting, I had asked you if it was a real thing, because I think I saw it like in November, because we've been talking about the Paracon for a while now, right? And I saw this pastry thing with pink icing, and I screenshot it to ask you if that was a real thing, because if I'm going to Thunder Bay, I want to eat one of these things. And it's a real thing, and it's called a what?
A Persian.
A Persian. So there's a store called The Persian Man, and he makes Persians.
And then there's a couple other different restaurants that now make their own Persians. And
yeah. So it's a specialty in Thunder Bay. They only make it here. And it's like a big cinnamon bun that has raspberry icing on top. There's a couple specialty desserts for Thunder Bay. So Persian is one, and the other one is a Sally Ann, which is like a chocolate type thing.
I don't know. I don't eat those.
You don't eat those ones?
No.
But yeah, the Persians. And not only that, you can buy the Persians, like the pastry, and eat them. But our restaurants in Thunder Bay also take those Persians and they cut them in half and grill them, so you can have a grilled Persian for breakfast. Yes.
Oh,
and you're gonna eat one.
There's so many people who are like, oh, you're coming to visit from Thunder Bay? Bring us some Persians. So the Persian man will actually freeze them and give you a tub of icing, so they're easier to travel with.
Yeah, and you can fly down.
Wild. So like I'm from Sault Ste. Marie originally, and I mean the Italian community up there is so fabulous, and the food is so different in Sault Ste. Marie than anywhere else. So my sister and I, when we go home, we bring a cooler, and we stock up on Pinot sausage and Aurora's like half-baked pizzas, and we like bring all that stuff back down with us because we can't get it the same down here. But yeah, those pastries, that sounds, it's delightful. So like I get spooky things all weekend long, get to meet people that I'm anxious to see in person, and Persians.
Yeah.
There's more we'll share about that in a second. I just want to get caught up here with some things. Sherilyn is just sharing, I think my little boy says he loves me every time I see numbers and multiples. Every time I see them, I say I love him so much. And that's when you understand how that dance is happening, then you get more. Every time you say thank you very much and you acknowledge it, you get more of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Cheryl saying that'll be amazing. You guys, you have a connection. I think so too. I think we are awesome. Yes, Michelle. Actually, you guys, is there an opportunity, like investigations are happening at nighttime as well too, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
There will be investigations. which I don't want to know about locations, so don't say anything tonight.
Okay.
Please and thank you. There just will be. I like a don't know anything. Let me go in.
Okay, good to know. We won't say anything.
Yeah, so that's why I always say shush with love. People see it, but they don't really know where it comes from. But people get excited, then they tend to overshare, right? So I go like, stop talking. Shush, shush with love. Let folks tell me. I want the dead folks to tell me. Allie's. Oh, Allie. Allie's in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Jennifer saying, I'll look those up. Everyone seems crazy.
Everyone wants a virgin.
Food brings people together.
You got that right.
It does. Charlene's saying, I see it almost every hour. Just out of the blue, I look at my phone and it's multiples. That's awesome.
Yeah. I tend to see like numbers like that when I'm going through a hard time. I feel like my loved ones send me threes, or they'll send me, different numbers in threes. Right. Yeah.
I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but I do play both sides, even though I talk to people that are crossed over. Is sometimes I feel like our bodies we get into a natural routine and habit where we almost program ourselves to look at a certain time, like we know to wake up at a certain time. So I think some of it is that, but then the rest of it, I do believe, is coming from spirit as well too. Allie's just sharing tombstone. And look at, you guys are so fabulous, Allie. You and your partner, he's so stinking cutie patootie. You guys are so perfect for each other. I just love it. It's like, yeah, awesomeness all the way around. The Wiz is here. Thanks for joining us. I've been seeing trip numbers 111, 222, 333, etc. Yeah. That's awesome.
I find that when I see the number, if I have a physical or an emotional reaction to the number, that it's more validating than if I just wake up, it's 333. But if I wake up startled and it's 333, then I'm like, oh, okay, that's something, Yeah.
I was born at 333.
Oh, were you really? Wow.
Yeah, 333. It's kind of my number. So when I see that, then I know there's some sort of validation that I'm on the right track as well too. I think people get caught up with wanting to know what the meanings are, and they want to make it bigger than what it actually is. But a lot of times it's just that validation that you're on the right track. If it was a hey, go the other way, it would be something much more in your face, right?
Right.
That subtle, you're loved, watched over, seen, heard, keep going kind of stuff, right? Maybe. I don't know. Do you have a thought?
I don't know. Yeah.
About numbers?
Yeah, I think so. I think that when I'm going through a hard time, numbers will pop up and it kind of validates that I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Thunder Bay, the Lake Superior Paracon, tickets are going to be available soon?
Yes.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
We're just ironing out the details.
Lots of details to be ironed.
There's a lot. You guys really took on, it's not a small project.
No.
Well,
no.
We thought it was going to be a tiny little Paracon, and then all of a sudden, people are saying yes, and we're like, Shane Pittman's coming to Thunder Bay. I'm like, oh my god, Jeff Bellinger. I'm like, where are these people coming from? So it turned into a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It's bigger and bigger. I mean, and the hotel has been absolutely fantastic, and they've really accommodated. We've rented the entire floor, so they're really accommodating, and I think it's going to be a fantastic event. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great.
Another host from UPRN is also going to be participating. So Laura Lee Potvin, who has the Angel Rock on Mondays and the Thing at the Foot of the Bed with David Hansel on Thursdays. She is also going to be participating and doing a workshop there. So I'm just really, it'll be the first time I get to connect with Laura Lee in person as well too. So I'm really excited about being able to connect with her when we go up in October. So I feel like it's going to be like one big fun sleepover party. You know what I mean? Bring on the ghosties and the snacks. We're all hanging out.
And the Persian delivery midnight.
Yes.
Maybe we can ask the Persian man to sponsor Persians. Free Persians for everybody.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, but it's just for people who have not experienced Northern Ontario, it is its own little, I don't know, phenomena. Like in itself, so much happens in that northern shore along Lake Superior. UFO sightings and stories, cryptids, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it. Weirdness happens along the northern shore. Hauntings along the highway. Like it's a lot. And I think the ruggedness of it, like it's powerful and beautiful, and it's not forgiving in any way. Like the weather even going up that way is
weather's not great.
Right? Like it's a lot. And I was in like outside of Sault Ste. Marie, not even because it's another 8 or 9 hours past Sault Ste. Marie where you guys are. Yeah. And there would be times where we'd be snowed in for 3 days waiting for the plow to plow our road out so that we could even get out. So like it's a whole other way of the wilderness. I love it though. Love it. I love everything about it. I tell my kids that when I die, I want to be cremated and shot off in a firecracker along Lake Superior just before Wawa, like maybe around Old Woman Bay or something like Catherine's Cove, somewhere in there.
That'd be a nice place to stay.
Yeah, that would be nice. Perfect. Yes.
Shoot me off in a firecracker. And then I tell them like, and I don't know how to haunt you. No passive aggressive pressure there at all, right? So funny. Julie, it does, right? It does sound like it will be a lot of fun because there will be lots of people to meet and connect with. And
that's the beauty of Paracons, I think, is just meeting everybody that has the same interest as you, and we're all open to it. So it's like this congregation of all your friends all at one time.
Yeah.
And you can just share your weirdness.
Yeah.
And no one's going to look at you differently.
Yep.
Yeah. Weird is good. And again, if we define weird, right? Weird is just our normal. It's normal. For sure. If you guys are just joining in, if there's anybody just tapping into the show now, thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn. You're listening to Spirit Switchboard on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 New Orleans. And we have Gail and Mel Willis from Lucky Paranormal, based out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, joining me on the show today. We were talking about the Lake Superior Paracon. So the tickets are going to be available soon. Where can people go to find information about that?
So you can go to www.lakesuperiorparacon.com. So it's the webpage is up. It's still a bit of work in progress, but we have some of our speakers showing there. It'll have the probably in about 2 weeks, I'm hoping. We'll have the tickets on sale. We'll have the agenda up there. We'll have all the workshops that we're doing, all the speaker information, any of the other extra events that we're having. So with you, Kerrilynn, we're having that Sweets event on Sunday. So that'll be an add-on that people can go to, and also our VIP event on the Friday evening. So it's a full day. It's a full day on Saturday.
it's a big weekend.
Yes.
Yes. And our investigation that we're having is limited to only 30 or 40 people. So it's a very intimate place. Like there's not going to be hundreds of people in the same building.
Oh, so it's one investigation.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So far.
But I can't tell you, so
Please
you'll have
don't.
to go to the website.
So here's the thing with me too, though. I don't know. Yeah. Don't think loud around me either.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? You can read that.
So I'm going to share Julie's statement. Julie's just saying, I'd love to meet Shane Pittman too.
I've met him. We've met him like 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
Very down to earth, very caring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorites is Paranormal.
For sure. And Jeff Belanger is just such a great, he's again, down to earth and personable and a great storyteller. So that will be fabulous too, having him in Thunder Bay. So don't think, so our thoughts come out before our words come out. So for people who are extra sensitive, sometimes we hear the thought before the words are spoken.
Right.
So yeah, I know, right? Put your tinfoil hats on when you're around Kerrilynn. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes, right? But yeah. I think it's something that I really tried to promote with my children as well too when they were younger. So like my kids and I have this really weirdness where we're communicating telepathically, and especially my daughter and I. And but it's something that I did with them, especially with my daughter and my youngest, like when they were young, from the time they were young and up, right? And it started like, can you tell me what I got for Christmas? And I went, no, but I'll think it. And if you answer right the first time, then I'll let you know. And
so that does happen with Gail and I. She'll be and all of a sudden she'll be thinking something, and I don't know what she's thinking. And then I'll say, oh yeah, we got to go and pick that up before we go home. And she'll be like, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, well, we need to do that.
Yeah. So it's really great to stretch that intuitive muscle, especially when you're with somebody that you're intimate with, right? Like that you're with all the time, especially families and partners, and that can build easily. Allie's just sharing, how has paranormal investigations changed your personal belief systems, or has it?
I don't think it's changed my belief system.
I don't think it has changed mine.
No.
I
think it's changed mine.
Yeah.
I was not raised with religion at all, even though we got dropped off at Sunday school, but it wasn't like it's a middle of nowhere. Like, so these ladies just got together to tell us stories, and we'd sing songs, and then we'd give, Christmas concert and Easter lilies to all the old ladies from like all the farms that live close by. Like it wasn't one religion. So we weren't really necessarily raised with religion. So I would say paranormal investigations have helped me have a closer personal connection to I'll just say it, like to Jesus. Like I have seen Jesus. I wrote a whole little blog about it once, jogging with Jesus. So, I mean, and it's changed my personal belief, expanding out in being more open to religion and different religious beliefs. Like it has helped me. Yeah. It's changed from where I was before, for sure. That way.
Wow.
I don't think that we can have some of these experiences or hear stories without feeling changed on some level. Like even the stories that we hear when we're investigating that are not necessarily coming from the paranormal, but just the history background. Some of it's really sad and powerful and impactful. And we naturally, I think, adjust Sometimes we hug a little longer, or we make sure that we don't go to bed angry. Like, I think we change some of our behavior from hearing some of the stories that we come across, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Michelle is saying my 7-year-old son just did that the other night. Oh, tapped in. Well, Michelle, you are a little Miss Thing with your intuition as well too. So, I mean, your kiddo is going to have it for sure, and he chose such a great mom where you're able to help foster that. So, I think it's brilliant that he felt safe to do that with you. You're welcome, Allie.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to share, like, I met Allie on a forum. It was kind of like an intuitive development forum that was hosted by a medium from the UK that had transplanted into the States. And that was like almost 17 years ago. 16 years ago. Yeah. And like a safe place for me. Allie is definitely a safe place for me. And we connected. We've never had the opportunity to meet in person, but still part, like Michelle, when we were asking about, finding a community, sometimes the community isn't necessarily in your physical space, but extended out. Like Allie for sure is part of a community of a friend network that I feel safe with, but we've never actually met in person.
Yeah.
Like, and Allie has watched me. Allie has watched my whole journey, like from start to where I am now. And 17 years ago, I was not in the same place that I am now, for sure.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the internet, right? You still make connections, and if you can't be there physically.
And again, like you can practice. So even like with the intuitive groups, we practice remote viewing, and now I have my own group that I'm able to. And that was the reason why I started that intuitive development group or the mentoring group online, because it was vital to me when I was sort of coming out of the witchy boo closet going, okay, so I've been this way since I was little, and somebody needs to help me feel not alone. Right. And I think that's what the paranormal community can do, right? If we're all playing nice in the sandbox.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, one day. I think our soul family finds each other one way or another.
Mm-hmm. And
then I think the spirits draw us in too.
I think so too.
Like, come here. Is there a place that you feel has pulled you to it?
Yes. There's a local cemetery that's a little bit outside of the city that often seems to pull me there.
Mm.
Have you figured out why?
Well, first there was a spirit that was stuck. And so we worked through that and we helped him cross over. But then there was a creature with red eyes in the forest, and I let that sit. And then we did another investigation, and you could see us talking, and Gail's filming, and all of a sudden you can hear a woman's voice say, hey ho, like they were singing, and you could see us talking and Gail's filming, and like, where did she come from and where is she? So I'm excited to get back there again so I can try and talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, eh?
A couple of EVPs there, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think the red eyes were? Elemental?
Well, the interesting thing is that
alien.
There used to be a church in this location, and back in the 60s, 70s, I guess there was unchristian rituals. That's what the newspaper said. There was unchristian rituals going on in the church, so they burnt it down. That was their solution. So they burnt it down. There's no church there anymore, but just wooden
What
cross.
Year?
In the 80s, they burnt it down.
Yeah, or I thought that was 70s, but
No,
like
it was
around
the
that
80s.
area. Yeah. This township, that's their solution to things.
So if you're in the cemetery, like there's barbed wire around the cemetery, if you're inside, there's like 5 tombstones, but 50 people buried there. So that's odd. And then you're safe inside there, but if you look outside into the forest, there's like
A feeling.
there's stuff.
Yeah.
There's stuff that I'm like, I'm not ready to even talk to you.
And I've never actually been in a cemetery where there's barbed wire around the fence line. Like, why is there barbed wire going on in this, like, and it's on a hill. It's on this huge hill. So it's like a flat piece where the church used to be, and then like it's hard to walk up. That's how hard it is.
Yeah.
With all the wooden crosses, sort of, which always always down, and someone's there trying to make it look nicer. But yeah, it's a very eerie space, and we've seen a UFO there.
Shush.
No, it's true. A lot of places in Thunder Bay, in this area, we see orange glowing balls in the sky. Multiple people have seen them
that have weird, erratic movements.
And I've seen it like kind of slowly going along the top of the trees. We've seen them erratically going around. And so we were there one night investigating. It was getting dark, and sure enough, there's a UFO going in the sky.
Have you tried to call out to them? So I know that you guys had shared this story that you had met someone at the Paragon in Michigan, in Sault Ste. Marie, who went outside and called to them.
Yes.
Have you tried doing that on your own?
Not yet.
I'm actually a little scared of that. Maybe that's what I am actually scared of. Is UFOs.
Yeah?
I think,
aliens.
Yeah.
My niece, she literally starts shaking and almost crying. We cannot discuss aliens around her at all. And she's 20.
Oh, wow.
Not like she's little. She's 20, which is still a baby, I suppose. But that's a hard no, a hard no for her as well too. But
yeah.
Okay, folks, if you're listening, one more reason to go to the Lake Superior Paragon.
And actually,
I was going to say, you do have a speaker coming to talk about that, do you not?
We do. And where the hotel is, it's up on a hill a bit. If you go at the back of the hotel, you're on a platform where you can see Lake Superior, and then you can see the sleeping giant in the foreground.
The formation, the land formation, for those that don't know that area.
It's all open skies there.
Yeah.
Another reason to come.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to need lots of that sugar.
I don't plan on sleeping, so
you will not be sleeping.
We have Chris Radowski. He is a UFO expert in Canada, and so he's done the Canadian UFO classification, and they collect all the data, all the sightings into one report every year. I don't know if it's every year or every 5.
I'm not sure.
But so he's going to be coming and talking about UFO sightings, and there was quite a big UFO that was very close to someone who got burnt by it in the 70s. And so I believe he does tours, and I forget,
Falcon Lake.
In Falcon Lake.
Manitoba.
Yeah, Manitoba. So it's on the Ontario border. So hopefully he'll be talking about that kind of thing. So it's very interesting.
There's another local guy coming who's actually done a documentary on UFOs and Sasquatch.
Yes.
So we're going to show those videos, and he's going to have a Q&A about his experiences. So
yeah, he's agreed to come on the show. So we just have to set up the date. So he's going to be coming on to talk about his experiences and participating with the Paragon.
Yes. There's lots of Sasquatch sightings as well up here, since there's so many trees.
My dad lives on one of the reserves outside of Sault Ste. Marie with my stepmom. And he had told me about a sighting that happened on the reserve not far from where they live. And it was observed, this bipedal creature dragging part of a moose carcass behind it.
Wow.
Walking towards this like hunting bluff. And I'm like, oh my goodness, can somebody take me out there, Dad? And he's like, you don't want to, die by some like hungry, angry Sasquatch. And I'm like, that would be an epic death. It would be epic, Dad. He's like, you're so crazy. But again, that northern shore, whether it's remote or, because there's so much wilderness up there that's not explored and not been tapped into, right? So it's Yeah, Sasquatch is has always been something that I've been interested in since the time I was little. Um, I always call you the Wiz because that's what you call yourself when you're commenting on my morning perch post. But he's saying there's Sasquatch, and you're in Washington, right? I'll just let you respond to there's Sasquatch where you live. And they say they're stinkier than bears, and bears are pretty stinky. So they say Sasquatch are even stinkier.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe that was the red glowing eyes that you saw too, right?
It was more wolf-like.
Wolf-like?
Yeah, like the height it was.
Big, like a dire wolf? Like a horse?
No, I don't know. It's like, shut that off. Whatever that was, it's gonna pause.
I think maybe I need to move to Thunder Bay. I think maybe moving. My kids will say no.
We even had that experience. We were investigating where the special is the special event on the Friday night. We were there, and we're all going up the stairs, and all of a sudden you hear my voice say closing communication.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
this is what we're gonna have.
I'm like, I'm not talking. And then I'm feeling for my tape recorder. I'm like, I don't have a tape recorder.
Yeah.
And I was like, totally. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about that either for a long time. So. Yeah.
Wet dog and skunk is what there was a saying. Joe, do you want to come in? Okay. Yeah, if we can, like, it's just even more of a draw. If we have like cinnamon bun pasties with raspberry icing, aliens, Sasquatch, and ghosts, it's like going to be a brilliant weekend.
Amazing.
It's just going to be brilliant.
I can't wait. I can't wait for October to come. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. I'm looking forward to it. And you guys do charity events within the community as well too, right? Like you host investigations locally to support the businesses. Do you want to talk about some of that?
We haven't done as many this past summer, but we started doing ghost walks. So that's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
like historical? Do you do investigations at the same time too? Like where they're investigating, or is it more like historical and you're just sharing the stories?
No, it's actually like we've tried to go to every single place that we talk about on the ghost walk and tell you the history and what people report and then our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then we also bring like the spirit box and try to do an investigation as best we can outside, but and just sort of do that education piece as well. But in terms of like the business sharing, we do go to the museum and we do go to the library. We have had events there, and a lot of the profit that we make goes back to the library and the museum. So that's where we're supporting local business.
Right. How important do you feel the education part is?
I think it's very important.
Yeah,
because
let's talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think that there's a lot of people interested, and I think that not that there's a right or wrong way to do an investigation, it's just the safety aspect, I think, is very important to convey. So we are always sort of sharing how we go about our investigation as an education piece, that we're saying, we're protecting ourselves beforehand. We particularly do a prayer before we start, and then we end the communication at the end, and we very intently and have an intention of opening and closing. And and we also do a whole sage burning of sage routine as well at the end, just to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And do you encourage I think that opening and closing is really important, regardless of anything that you're going to do. If you're going to tap in spiritually or doing an investigation, even if you're trying to use an app like the ghost apps that are on the phones, you're still opening up a door to something.
Yeah.
So being mindful that if you're going to open the door, you need to know how to close the door.
Right. And what happened when we went to Pentatanguishing is we were so exhausted and we're like, I can't sleep here. I gotta go. So we went to a hotel. We didn't close. We didn't sage. We just picked up our stuff, threw it in the car and drove. And then we got to Thunder Bay. We're like, why is this guy here? I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot to do something very important. So
I didn't. So I have two parts to add to that. I had a night where I didn't close everything up after, and I had a little this older lady in spirit sitting in the hallway when I woke up, and she's like, "Can I go now?"
Oh,
I suck. I'm so sorry. Yes, I am so sorry. Yes, so the closing is important, and I find like clearing the energy from yourself as well too, shaking it off, having a shower, a salt bath, like smudge, if it, doing it ethically and the way that it should be connected to the indigenous people in the land that you're currently living on, I think as well too, being respectful that way. I have a liquid energy clearing spray from Linda Earl, she was on last week, so from her company Pachamama, so I use that. But if I don't, because if I've done a big event and I'm just so dog tired by the time I get home and I flop into bed, I call it a psychic hangover. It feels like I have a psychic hangover the next day. Like I can't think straight. My brain is foggy, and it hits me hard. So have you had that experience as well too? I call it a psychic hangover. You might have a different term for it.
I think it's just like an exhaustion is what sometimes I feel afterwards. If we're not like intently, because you can clear, but if you don't have the intent of a clearing, then it's not always going to work. So, especially at events, it's hard because you're organizing and you're facilitating an event, and you're into that too. And sometimes it's hard to kind of let that go and then clear the energy off of you.
Yeah, because you're too busy clearing everybody else that you're
taking care of everyone. Yeah.
Your turn's kind of like, okay, we're done.
I think when we have other people, though, where we stay on top of it, because we want to make sure that they are having a positive experience, that they don't have anything happen after they go home. But when we're doing it on our own for ourselves, not that we get lazy, but we just, redirect our thoughts, are not always as mindful for our own self-care as we are the care of other people.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. Yeah.
But I've learned to start keeping that liquid smudge in my car, because you can't really like smudge with sage and smoke it all up like it's a clam bake in your car. So I have this like liquid smudge in my car, so it looks kind of like I'm spraying an air freshener or something in my car before I get in, just so that depends too. Like sometimes the messages are really heavy, but tuning forks too. Sometimes I'll just bring the tuning forks and use the tuning forks, and then that's I'm on the way home. I just forked myself. I'm all good. The window's down for some cool air on the way so that I can wake up and we're good. It's so important. And I think too, I believe, I agree with you that educating people about understanding the equipment, understanding respect with the spirit world and the locations, having respect is so important. Because if those spirits are there, we're going into their space, and we need to be respectful of that. We don't know what traumas they've had, so we don't need to go in adding more to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Are there places that are high on your bucket list that you haven't been to yet that you just can't wait to get to?
I've made a whole road trip. We're actually going to the UK at the end of April. And so I've got like the Golden Fleece, and I've got Chillingham, and I've got all these places to go. And so
26 days of places.
Wow, eh?
Yeah.
You'll have to come back on after. Actually, you're going to be on Laura Lee's show in April. So will it be before or after your trip?
It was before. We talk to her before we go.
Yeah.
Oh, buggers. So we're going to have to get you on one of the shows once you get back to hear all about those locations.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. There's a couple locations that we're going that we know are haunted, so we've purposely gone there, and then we're also doing 2 different like organized events similar to what we kind of organize here in Thunder Bay, where this there's one that's a jail, and then there's one that's I think
Dudley Castle.
a castle. So it'll be interesting to see how they run their events and being with other paranormal investigators. It's not being so alone all the time because we're going to be in other castles with the 2 of us, right? So
it's good to, and that's good too, right? Extending that network and seeing how other people ask questions or approach investigations as well too. Yeah. And I think that's super important. I like the same for mediums as well too. Like we all work differently and we tap in differently. So, right. Asking how, people approach, and when we're approaching investigations, it's very different than an individual session with somebody. Right. Reading land, property, the architecture, then the spirits as well too. It's a whole other ballgame. Love it.
Yeah.
And there's so much rich history there, like so in the UK.
Like it was so hard. Like we're going for a long time, but it feels like we've jam-packed every single thing we could possibly think of to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're going to need a vacation from the vacation.
We are going to need a vacation, like a good 2 weeks off when I come back.
That's so funny. But that's how you do it, right? Especially if you don't know when you're going to get to go back. You don't want to miss out on anything, especially if it's been on bucket list.
Yeah.
Dar is just asking, so are all the spirits stuck here and why? And also, do they all want help going home? I would say spirits that I've connected with, not all of them want to leave. And I don't always understand or know why they're here. There's so many different various reasons, right? What have you guys come across?
Well, I don't think spirits, well, some stay stuck, but I think a lot of them cross over and then just come back to visit.
Yeah.
Like I would hope my mom is not stuck. I hope she chooses to come back and be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Smart enough.
I find it feels very different. I know I mentioned this earlier. Spirits that are not fully crossed over feel heavy to me, like slogging through mud. It just feels very different. And when they're crossed over and are here to interact, it's lighter and easier. And the ones that want to go home, it's easy to help them. Cross over for the most part. The ones that are a little more stuck, sometimes it's like spirit therapy. You have to visit those locations and keep talking to them to reassure them if they had trauma or fears. And that's what created them to be stuck, right? So, listening. Spirits need people to listen to them.
Right.
Fiona is just saying, being born and raised in the UK, I know there are many lighthouses that are said to be haunted.
Oh, that's one place that
we didn't think about lighthouses.
We never thought about lighthouses.
Fiona, do you have a recommendation? Growing up in that area, do you have a recommendation of a well-known one that comes to the top of your head that you'd like to suggest?
All ready to write it down.
We're ready to write it down.
I'm really sorry, Kel, that you're having frustrations. I'm perplexed on how to support you with this. Like, we are still live. We are still live, and I'm not sure how you are being shut out. So I'm not sure if it's something from your end. It must be something from your end, because we're not doing anything from this end to exclude you. Dara saying, I hope they come to be with us. Awesome, thanks. For sure they do. People in spirit, your loved ones that are in spirit, want you to know that there's no disconnect between us and them, and it brings them joy if we are peaceful and good. So they'll do everything they can to let us know we're on the right track, because the more peaceful and joyful we are, the more we can be of service for the people around us. So, you know, it plays a big part. I was in Scotland, and any that are on the Atlantic are said to be haunted, and particularly around Perth. And
I'm going to Perth.
Yay, we'll be there.
I get so excited when someone mentions a place, and I'm like, oh, I know where that is.
That's awesome. Tessa's just asking, do some spirits choose to not to visit their loved ones even if we want them to? From my experience, it's not necessarily that they're always part of our support system, and they are there. Some are just pulled back more, whether they're having to do their own healing lessons or involvement on the other side, or if there are other people in spirit that can better support whatever current experience you're going through. So if they don't have that set skill set to support you, they kind of step back and allow other people up, but they're still connected in part. I don't know if you guys have any theories or thoughts about.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that when you go to the spirit world, there might be a journey for you there. Mm-hmm. And depending on where that spirit is take on that journey, and whether or not they're able to come back or wanting, not that they want, maybe they want to, maybe they're just on a different path, on a different journey, and they got to go through some, just like life, you got to go through those obstacles or those challenges to get to different parts. Just like life, I think it's the same in the spirit world.
It was great to connect with you guys. I'm so grateful that, you know, the timing worked, and you know, there was a little hiccup with this scheduling, so you guys really helped me out by coming on tonight. So
it's our pleasure.
I appreciate that. And where can people connect with you?
So they can find us on Facebook. We have a following on Facebook.
But it's a private group, so it's kind of tricky to find us. It's Lucky Paranormal and then brackets Thunder Bay.
Yeah. And you asked to join the group.
Yes, you have to ask, and I will let you in.
Yeah. And then it is LakeSuperiorParacon.com.
Yes.
LakeSuperiorParacon.com.
Yep.
If you are signed up for my newsletter, I've added it to the newsletter, so people know. It's also on my website as well. So if they go to the website, once the link is there, so people can access it through my website as well too. Yes, Paracon, Michelle, for sure. Like, we're all excited. So next week, the guest that was, had to switch his schedule around will be, that he was going to be on today. He's going to be on next week. It's Eric Mintel. So he's also an investigator. He's going to be coming on talking about his experiences. So I hope that you guys can join me next week in the conversation as well too, when Eric is here. So thank you everybody that participated in the conversation and in the chat and asked questions. I appreciate you all so very much. And a big shout out to United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 New Orleans. Have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday at 6. And take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.